little segment here called Shred or Save, Ryan. We're going to take turns handing each other a MVP futures ticket for this year's season. You can either immediately shred the ticket, you want nothing to do with it, or you can save the ticket because you like the value. Do we want to do you think everyone can relate to the idea of shredding their paper tickets? No, we don't. So many digital gamblers now. A lot of people have the DK app, which we fully endorse. But if you find yourself an old school sports book and you got the paper tickets, there's not much fun in losing, but when you lose, you at least get to either manually shred it, or if you're in an office dedicated to sports gambling like ours is, a Sports Gambling Podcast Network, you can actually physically shred the ticket with the paper shredder. I'll say it is cathartic. Like when I didn't hit first touchdown in the Super Bowl, immediately take my first touchdown bets, put them into the shredder. They're clean. They're gone. Feel great about it.
You know how like the apps have the share on social where they print a little bet. They should have a digital
like a shred. Yeah. Yes, DraftKings. We got an idea for you in the app. Have a digital shredder. You could have a shred button, and you can just see like a little animated graphic. You can see it go into the shredder.
Right next to the cash out button. It's a cash out or shred.
Yeah, shred. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to shred it. Not necessarily a plus EV move of shredding it when you didn't need to.
Maybe there's a recycling bonus. They could kick a couple cents back to you for a completely bad losing bet.
Ryan, what if I gave you a Brock Purdy MVP ticket? Right now, DK has him at 12-1. What are you doing with that thing?
Well, considering he was in the running this year, you could talk yourself into it. But when you're looking at the guys around him, it's a bunch of dudes: Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson, Purdy. I mean, even beneath him, like Purdy versus C.J. Stroud, Purdy versus Hurts, Prescott, Tua, Goff. I am, for the same reasons that I wouldn't get down on the Niners to win the Super Bowl right now. Like, who's taking this Brock Purdy bet? I am willing to go out on a limb and say we may have seen the Brock, like near the Brock Purdy ceiling. I understand he's young, but he's maximizing that system. He's playing that system well. That's why he's being called a game manager. So 12-1, no thank you. Shred.
Well, and it's always going to be tough for Brock Purdy because he's got Christian McCaffrey. Like if it's this double-edged sword where if they're playing well, it means Christian McCaffrey's playing well. If they're winning games, Christian McCaffrey is also playing at a high level. Like there's not really a world where the 49ers are very good. Christian McCaffrey's not adding anything. Brock Purdy's the shining star. Like the path you get there at 12-1 just doesn't make any sense. And
Ayuk, their best pure receiver, their best route runner, probably not going to be on the team. And this is a guy that's going to garner top dollar. So I can't imagine you can. What's the angle for Brock Purdy? I don't understand.
Yeah, 12-1. I don't see it.
All right. So what I would counter with,
is
I would Jared Goff 20-1 MVP. To me, this is a very interesting price.
Yes.
I think when you look at the board, once you get past the bona fide studs, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, it becomes very muddled. Like I was mentioning, there's Herbert in there, Purdy, Jordan Love.
So are you giving this one to me, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm kind of breaking it down as to why it's interesting. I think Jared Goff, beneath all these guys at 20-1, certainly there's a lot of angles. Continuity, the offensive coordinator's back. The team, for the most part, is running it back. The offense has looked electric. Their defense still has had problems at time, which means his counting stats could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
he was the number one overall pick.
I'm not shredding a Jared Goff ticket at 20-1. I'm saving that because I do think, to your point, Ryan, one, they play in a dome. So all those counting stats that you just mentioned, he can get those. Amon-Ra St. Brown, like Jamison Williams, they just kind of scratched the surface with him this year. Maybe if he can stay away from the DK bonus bets and the promos and stay healthy, you can get a full productive year out of Jamison Williams. Their running game's still pretty good. So I feel like they're going to be in games 20-1. Yeah, and they brought the OC back. That was a big point of contention.
He didn't come back. He said, "I don't want to leave."
Yeah, and I'm sure they figured out a way to pay him some cash there. But we've had
this conversation too. Like it's usually we've had this conversation in the context of college coaches who have kind of the best situation possible, but they choose to leave for more money. Ben Johnson said, "I'm not going to Washington. I want to stay here. This feels like a healthy situation."
Yeah,
where
as a Commanders fan, that cannot feel good when guys decline the head coaching opportunity. And you only really have so many options to decline a head coaching job. At some point, it's like, dude, what are you doing?
You go from Ben Johnson potentially calling your plays to Cliff Kingsbury. Interesting side
Well, but if
there.
you're a Commanders fan, you're talking yourself into, hey, we brought in Cliff Kingsbury because we know we're getting Caleb Williams.
I'm just stoked that Cliff Kingsbury draft season's back. Hopefully he rents another sick house to do for the war room.
Oh yeah, him posting up. Although yeah, I don't know if you can get quite the same spread there out in DC, especially as a coordinator salary. Ryan, I am going to give you a Tua MVP ticket, 18-1. What are you doing with that thing?
Well, it's McDaniel. So, again, this is another offense they should produce. But much like Purdy, I think the presence of Tyreek Hill and maybe even Waddle makes it a little bit difficult because if Tua gets there, it's going to be counting stat related. We saw him at the top of the board this year for yards. He doesn't ever pass the eye test, which is a problem. And Tyreek Hill's on his team. Jalen Waddle's on his team. There's two guys right there that are going to be legit shots to lead the league in receiving potentially. So, again, I would shred this one. I think anytime you have legit offensive player of the year candidates, and really it's McCaffrey and Hill to me, maybe you sprinkle in Justin Jefferson. To me, that's the only guy that I think that can overcome that is Burrow and Chase. And so I'm avoiding anyone who has a clear top dude that's going to maybe draw some votes away from the quarterback. All right, I feel like I want to go down the board a little bit for you because you're a fan of this guy. You were big on the Bucs this year. Baker Mayfield, some think, got robbed in the Comeback Player of the Year award to a man who only played 5 games.
No, I mean, the Comeback Player of the Year, I'm still mad at. DeMar Hamlin was dead, and then he came back from death. What is a bigger... If DeMar Hamlin doesn't come back from what he came back to, are they even having football anymore? Come on. How do you not give that to DeMar Hamlin? Yes, it was impressive that, that Joe Flacco came back from the couch to win 5 games for the Browns. But DeMar Hamlin literally came back from being dead. I'm telling you, it's that fake punt that ruined it for him, Brian.
It really was. That was an odd play. It was almost like they were trying to manufacture the award for him. Or his deep fake, whoever it was. Baker Mayfield, 75-1.
75-1. Well, let's see. Compared to some of the other prices, do I like him better than Caleb Williams? Yes. Tyreek Hill? Yes. Justin Jefferson, Russell Wilson, Geno Smith? All yes. The problem with Baker is he just doesn't quite. He played well, but I worry that was when we look at Baker Mayfield's career. Last year might have been his best season as a pro. Now and they lost Dave Canales, their offensive coordinator. So Baker in a new offense. That what he has going for him is the NFC South. In my mind, is still super super wide open. So the fact that he has a good path to win the division again. Once you win the division, then you're talking about can you get to 12-5, which is probably what you need to at least be in the discussion. Are they bringing Evans and Godwin back? 75-1. I do like Baker. I woke up feeling dangerous here, Ryan, at 4 a.m. So, yeah, I'll stick to I'll hang on to my Baker Mayfield ticket. I will save it. I will not be shredding
You think his odds will be 75-1 after the first 2 weeks when he goes for 8 touchdowns and 1 interception? I will say Canales leaving might not be a bad thing. He was very much a stubborn, run-the-ball kind of guy.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, Todd Bowles, defensive-minded coach, could remain the same, but boy, if they shift at all to any more passing, I do think Baker's interesting.